This video, guys, I'm going to go over and mark up the main US pairs as well as gold. So if you want to see me do that using our Trend Trap Pro strategy, then stick around here. My name is Bill Soriano, and I've been trading Forex full-time for about 2 years now. And of course, everything that I share with you on this video is for educational purposes only. It's not meant to be investment advice. Forex is a risky business. You could lose all or part of your capital when trading, which is why we suggest you always start on a demo account. Okay, guys, let's get started here. So this is our Trend Trap Pro strategy, right? There's 5 steps to our strategy. What I show you every week in these videos are the first 3 steps, right? We're going to identify a daily range high and low. We're going to identify the recent 4-hour trend, and we're going to mark up the closest 1-hour zone that we can look for a reaction with that trend from, right? So that's what we're going to do on this video. So our daily range high and low, why is this important? So our daily range high and low tells us a lot of things. It gives us a range for our trading. So we don't want to take a buy if we're too close to the high, and we don't want to take a sell if we're too close to the low. There's just no room for it to go. We're more than likely going to get a reaction from that high or low, and price is going to retrace against us, okay, in most instances. Also, once we take a trade, that daily range high and low tells us how far we have where we could set our take profits. So we want to have at least a 1 to 2 risk to reward on a trade, but that range may tell us that we have a potential to get a 1 to 3 or even maybe a 1 to 4. So that's how we use this range. And there's a very unique way that we determine it. We don't just use yesterday's high or low, high and low, or the weekly one, whatever. So when I do it is I go to the daily chart. And so now we're on EURUSD. And so what we're going to do is I don't look at the last 2 daily candles. Okay. So usually when I do this, the market's open and this candle, the first candle is obviously still moving, right? Um, so we definitely never want to use that candle. But I also don't like to use the second candle either, unless it has a very big body and I have to. Okay. But in this case, it doesn't. So what we're looking for now is we want to look to the left to see the next area up where we could set our daily range high. And we're looking for a blue body candle, right, or an up candle, followed by a red body candle. And we want those bodies of the candle to almost match, right? They should be very close to the same. So if you look over here, we see this area right here where we have this blue body candle, 2 red body candles. So that's going to be our daily range high. Okay, and I like to make these black so that I know what they are when I'm on the lower time frames, right? That's our daily range high. Now we're going to go down to the left. We don't want to use the first 2 candles, but right here we have a red now. So now for the low, we're looking for a red body candle followed by a blue body candle, and we want those bodies to pretty much match. They don't have to match exactly, but we want them to pretty much match. And so these ones kind of do, so we're going to select that. That is our daily range low. So that means that in a perfect world, we would want to take most of our buys when we're in the bottom 50% of this range and most of our sells from the top 50%. Why? Because they have more room to go. We don't want to take a buy if we're right up against the high, and we don't want to take a sell if we're right up against the low. Okay. And then, like I said earlier, once we get in the trade, we can determine our targets using these in mind, right? So that's EURUSD. So let's just go, what we're going to go through, we're going to go through these 5 US pairs and then gold that I have flagged here. So let's go through one at a time here on the daily range high and low. So this is now GBPUSD. You can see here that in order to determine the high, we have to go over to here. So this is the first place. We have a blue candle followed by a red candle after that. And then again, we don't want to use these first two candles in most instances, never the first candle. Sometimes we do have to use the second one, but the majority of the time we don't want to use the first two. And this is the low right here. Okay, you can see those candles are pretty close. They don't match up exactly, but they're very close. And when you do this, you can use the line chart to pick your low like that. But also if you just use, if you're determining the low, you want to use the body of the red candle. And if you're determining the high, you want to use the body of the blue candle. That's basically how you do it either way. But that's our high and low range now for that. USD CAD is next. We're going to go over here. We're going to go up here now. This is going to be our high. It's going to be right here. And our low is going to be right down here. Okay, this one is we're not going to use this one because price was already in that area. Well, let me see. Okay, we kind of have to use that one. So this has a more narrow daily range high and low. USD again, we don't want to use these two candles, these first two. So this is going to be our high and our low is going to be right over here. USDJPY. Again, our high is going to be here and our low is going to be right here. And then gold. Finally, gold, we're going to have to go over here to find our high. So we're going to pick this area right here, and then our low is going to be right about here. So that's how we identify the daily range high and low. So that's the first thing I do at the beginning of the week. I like to start the beginning of the week with clean charts, right? I get everything off of there. And so I could start with a clean chart. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the 4 hour and we're going to identify the trend. And this is very important. So we're identifying more of a trend bias or a short-term trend, I like to say, because we're only looking at most the last 3 highs and lows to determine this trend. We don't want to go all the way back here to determine the trend. That's just not useful for us. We're taking our trades on the 15 or the 5-minute time frame. So the 4 hour trend, we want to know what is the bias right now. Which way is this pair moving right now? What's giving me my best chance of success? And so you always want to trade with the trend, as you know. And so determining the trend is really the most important part of this process, which is step 2. Now, we have a unique way of determining that trend. Of course, we use break of structure like most people do to determine whether it's an uptrend or a downtrend. But we have a unique way of determining break of structure, okay, which I will show you here. And basically, instead of just looking for a candle close, like most people just look for a candle to close above a previous higher low for that trend to have a break of structure, for a break of structure to occur. We look for, in an uptrend, we look for a blue candle to both open and close above the previous structure point. And in a downtrend, we look for a red candle to both open and close below. So this is a very important part of the strategy I'm giving you guys. So I hope that you understand this and you subscribe to my channel so that you can keep updated on this and you could see these markups every week here. So now if we look at this, if we just look at this, it's pretty easy to say, that's in an uptrend, right? So we want to see, where is our higher high? So in an uptrend, we need to identify the higher high and the higher low, right? Because when we identify the higher high, that will tell us where the higher low is. And the higher low is the point where if price would, in an uptrend, if price would open and close below it, if a 4 hour candle would open and close below it, then we would have a change of trend at that point. So that's very important. So the higher high, we have to say to ourselves, is this high here higher than this high? Well, do we have a blue candle open and close above the bodies of this candle here? We don't. Then we say, well, is this high right here higher than this high? No. But is this high higher than this high? Yes. So this is our higher high. Now, if this is our higher low, some people might think that this is our higher, if this is our higher high, then some people may be led to believe that this would be our higher low. But one thing that we use is we like to measure the move with the Fibonacci tool. And if we start at the bottom of this move using the wicks up to the top here, we do not get a 38.2% pullback. So that is not a valid higher low right there. So if that's not the higher low, because it just doesn't pull back enough, okay? When you get your tool out here, I'm going to show you what I'm saying. This is actually the move right here. So we would need price to pull back to at least this area here before making a move back up in order for that to be considered a valid higher low. Price didn't do that. So if this isn't the higher low, that means this is down here. So we're going to use the red candle here to mark the higher low. And we're just going to use this body of this red candle right there. And I like to make this red so that I could see that very clearly when I'm on the lower time frame. So it's very, very close to the daily range low as well. But we don't want to move them because we want them to be in those exact places. So we know that EURUSD is bullish right now. And we've identified the higher high as well as the lower low. Now, if this higher high gets broken during a trading day, then that's going to change where our higher low is. If it doesn't, then this will stay like this. Right? So let's go to the next pair now. Again, we can see the GBPUSD is in an uptrend. Is this high higher than this high? Yes, it is, because this candle clearly opens and closes above them, right? So if this is the higher high, then where's our higher low? Well, our higher low is right here. Okay, so it's very, very close in this instance here. And this body of this red candle will actually be where we mark that higher low at. So we're in an uptrend. If at any point we get a 4-hour candle that opens and closes below this line, right, then the trend will change to a downtrend right now, right? If price makes a higher high at some point, then our higher low will change. Okay, let's look at USDCAD. USDCAD clearly in a downtrend, right? We say to ourselves, well, is this low lower than this low? It is. So if this is the lower low, in this case, we're in a downtrend. So we're looking for the lower low, right? And so if that's the lower low, where is the lower high? Well, the lower high will be right here. And we use a blue candle body to identify that lower high. And so we mark that LH, lower high. So there's our lower low. There's our lower high. So now let's check. Did that pull back 38.5% at least? Well, where's that move actually start? You see, the move actually doesn't start up here. The move actually starts right here. So if the move starts there, then yeah, it does pull back 38.2%. But the question I guess we have to ask ourselves is, does the move start there or does it start all the way up here? Because if it starts all the way up here, then it doesn't quite move back. Okay? So in order to determine that, we have to now look at this one and say, okay, for this to be a valid area here, where did this pullback start? And so we're going to go to this one, pull that down. That doesn't pull back 38.2%. So Sometimes it gets a little bit difficult and it's a little bit subjective here, guys. But to me, this is the lower high, okay? Because price clearly does pull back here. If you pull up your line chart, you don't really see it as good, right? But you see you have a blue candle there, so you can see the price is actually moving kind of like this. It's down, it moves up, then it moves down. Okay, so it's moving downward. If this is the lower low, we're going to mark this as the lower high. So that means if a 4-hour candle opens and closes above here, our trend is going to change from bearish to bullish on USD CAD this week. Okay, now again, some people may look at this and say, well, I don't really count that, right? So they would put the lower high up here. Okay. And that's perfectly fine. If you know, as long as you stick to whatever your rules are. For me, I'm going to put the lower high right here. Now, more than likely, price is going to move lower anyway, and we're going to get a new lower high at some point during the week. Let's look at USD Chef. USD Chef in a clear downtrend here. This was a big move down. This low here is obviously lower than this low. There's no low lower than this low here. So this is going to be our lower low. And if that's our lower low, then there's no confusion here, right? This is our lower high. And again, it's right on the same line as our daily range high is. Okay, let's look at USDJPY. Okay. So this one here, this looks like our low point here. So we have to say to ourselves, is this low lower than this low? And it is. So is this low lower than this low? No. Is this low lower than this low? No. So this is our lower low right here. So again, once we're able to determine our lower low in a downtrend or our higher high in an uptrend, then it gets easier to determine where our higher low is or our lower high. And so right here, it's going to be right here. We're going to use this blue candle right here. If this is our lower low, then this is where that move starts right here. So again, if we get an open and close above here, our trend will change from bearish to bullish in USDJPY. But right now, we are bearish. And by the way, let me just do this real fast. We're bullish. I'm going to give that a blue flag. We're bullish. This one we are bearish. We're going to give that a red flag. USD Chef, we are also bearish. We're going to give that a red flag. And again, USD JPY. There's our lower high. And then that leaves us with gold. Okay, gold, of course, is in an uptrend as well. So today, guys, these 6 pairs that we went over were relatively easy to determine the trend. Sometimes it gets a little tricky. Sometimes it gets a little tricky and you really have to look at it very closely. Today, on these 6 pairs, it was very easy. We could determine the trend really just by looking at the chart, right? We don't really have to go into each one, but we also need to determine in an uptrend where that lower high is so that we can identify if we get a break of structure, the trend changes. And in a downtrend, we need that higher low. Okay, so here we could see that this high is obviously higher than this high here. Okay, so gold is in an uptrend, and if this is our higher high, then we're going to say that this is our higher low. So this one for me is not sufficient. Usually I like to see more than one candle, okay? So we can't say that this is our higher low here. So higher high, and higher low. So there you have it. So we've gone through the 6 pairs. We've identified the daily range high, the daily range low on the daily. On the 4 hour, we've identified the trend. We've marked up a higher high or a lower low, along with a higher low or a lower high. Okay. So that's what we've done. Now we're going to drop down to the 1 hour. This is step 3. And if we know that this is in an uptrend, we're going to look for a 1 hour zone where we might look to see where a reaction may occur that will allow us to take a trade in the direction of the trend. And so what we do is make this easy. We're looking for areas of support and resistance. So in an uptrend, we're looking for the peaks that are relatively close to where price is. So we have a peak right here, right? And really there's no other peaks. We have to go pretty far back here. And you could see another peak right there. So just kind of highlight this range a little bit. And then we look for a candle inside that range. And sometimes we can find it on the 1 hour. So right here we have this candle. So in an uptrend, we're looking for a blue candle. In a downtrend, we're looking for a red candle. Okay. So this sometimes takes you a little while to identify this. Sometimes you have to drop down to the 15-minute chart to find a candle that kind of fits the range. So that's what we did here. So over here, we kind of have this blue candle right here. It's a little bit big, but we're going to use that blue candle right there. Okay. So if we come back over here, we can see where that range is at right there. So what I do is then I set my alert at the beginning of that range. And so if during the session, price hits that alert, right, in an uptrend, I know to look for a W, and I look for, I go to my step 4, right? My step 4 in the process. So remember, I'm giving you the first 3 steps. In order to get step 4 and 5, guys, you do have to join our educational platform, right? So that you can get access to Jay's training on this, the Trend Trap, the 5-video boot camp. You have to get on his live sessions, or you could watch the recordings of them every day so that you can get access to the full strategy. I'm giving you the first 3 steps here on this video. Now, step 4 is in an uptrend, once price hits that 1 hour zone, we look for a W pattern, we draw a trend line, we look for a break of structure of that trend line, and then that's step 4. Once step 4 occurs, we go to step 5, which is our educational platform quantum scanner, and we confirm that on the 1-minute time frame with the quantum scanner. So for a buy, we look for a blue candle to open and close above the trend line on the scanner, and for a sell, we look for that red candle to open and close below the trend line in the scanner. So that's how we do that. Now, in this video, I'm just giving you the first 3 steps. So we're in an uptrend here. So we have some peaks here, right? We have a peak here, we have a peak here, we have some peaks here, there's a peak here. Kind of like find something if I scroll over here. So we have some peaks down here. And a couple peaks right here. Let's see if we can find a candle inside of here. Somewhere inside of here that we can use here. You can see how this has been like resistance, breaks through it a little bit. Now you can kind of use it as support. So if we drop down to the 15-minute, so we do have a blue candle kind of right in the middle of this range here. So we're just going to tighten this zone up a little bit by using the body of that blue candle. Okay, and we're going to see that that price is kind of right here. So that's what we're looking for. We're going to set our alert in GBPUSD right there at 1.36321. And you can set your trading view alerts from this. And then once these alert goes off, you know that there's a potential to take a long position in GBPUSD. And EURUSD, that area is 1.16639. So you can see that right over here when I hover over that alert that I said it's at 1.16639. Okay, let's do UCAD real fast. Now UCAD is in a downtrend. So in a downtrend on the 1 hour, we're looking for the valleys. We're looking for the points down, right? The points down. So we go here, we see one here, we see one here, we see one here, we have a couple up here, right? Let's see if we can find another one over here. Usually you don't have to go back this far, but you could see we have a couple points over here that we can kind of look at, right? So let's just, if we highlight this whole area here, let's see if there's a candle that we could possibly use in here from the 1 hour time frame. Again, we're looking for a red candle now because we're in a downtrend. And there's a nice body right there. So we tighten this up. And so that's what we're looking for here. So we come over here, we set our alert right there for USDCAD, and that alert is at 1.37830, right? And once that alert goes off, we would look for a potential short position in UCAD, right? Now, what's a couple things we have to keep in mind? Well, look, our daily range low is pretty close to where we're at right now. So we have to make sure that we can get at least a 1 to 2 trade-off if we get a potential sell trade in USDCAD. Also, here's our red line. What's that? That's where our break of structure is on our lower high that would actually change the trend. Now, price can move up above here, no problem, right? It can stay up above here and would still be in a downtrend. As long as we don't get a 4-hour candle that both opens and closes above this range, we stay in a downtrend. Okay, let's go to USDCHF here. Again, we're going to look for a 1 hour valley here. As you can see above price because we're looking to go short. So we have a couple peaks right here. These are really the first two areas right here. You see this? So let's see if we have a 1 hour candle in here. So again, there's a nice body of a candle right there. So we're going to shrink that down. We're going to use that candle right there. And you could see that this area on the 1 hour, it was support 2 times. See? Support bounced off. Support bounced off. Now we're looking for it to become resistance. Since it has passed through that zone, now it becomes 1 hour resistance. And that's where we want to look to take a sell trade because that's the most reasonable area to assume that price will react downward. So we're going to set our alert on USHF here. I call it USHF. Let's get it right there at 0.80397. Okay, let's go to UJ. UJ is also in a downtrend. So let's put up our line graph, right? We see a peak here. We see some peaks. We got a couple peaks right here, which are pretty close to price here. There's like 3 of them there. Let's see if we can find a candle, a 1 hour candle. We need a red candle since we're in a downtrend. And we do have a red candle, red body candle right there that kind of fits right in that range. Sometimes that happens for you. So you can see here that price has already come back and hit this range on Thursday. We're not going to count that though. We need another hit. So we're going to set our alert right there in USDJPY at 159.166. 159.166. Okay. And then the final pair is gold. Gold in a very, very big uptrend here recently. And again, we have to go over here to the left to find an area that we could possibly trade from. And we have a couple right here. Wait, I'm sorry, I'm going the wrong way here. We're looking below because we're in an uptrend. So here's a peak right here. So let's see if there's any over here. There's really not. And it looks like the better zone is going to be where all these peaks are right here. And so now we need a blue body candle, right? And we kind of have this blue body candle right here, right? Sometimes I combine a couple candles, like see how this one and this one here, I'm just gonna shrink this up a little bit like that. Sometimes if the zone is really small, if the body's really small, I might grab another candle right next to it as well. Okay, sometimes. So this is our area in gold. So this is at 4582.134. 4582.134. That's where we're looking for a reaction on gold to take a long position again. All right. Now, price may continue up higher when trading opens, and we may have to find a different position, right? A different zone, right? So there you have it, guys. What I did is I took these 6 pairs, EURUSD, GBPUSD, USDCAD, USDCHF, USDJPY, and gold. And using our Trend Trap Pro strategy, I showed you how to do the first 3 steps of the strategy. We identified daily range high and low. We identified the 4-hour trend, and we identified a support and resistance zone on the 1-hour time frame that we can look to take a potential trade from. So that's what I've given you on this video today. If you like what I've given you, if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment. If you'd like to take our 7-day test drive so that you can get access to the other 2 steps in the strategy, right? When you actually take your trade, the entry, the 2 entry steps, right? Step 4 is entry confirmation 1. Step 5 is entry confirmation 2. If you want to take the 7-day test drive, get access to them, let me know. I'll send you the link. There's also probably going to be a link down below this video for you to get watch a video for more information on that at sorianoformula.com. That's sorianoformula.com. So guys, if you want that 7-day test drive, let me know. Have a great day.